In the unprecedented times of the 2020 pandemic, our country's digital divide became widely exposed, and the effects of increasing economic and digital inequalities became more apparent. As the founder and president of a technology firm, Ed Christmas questioned the reason for this, as well as the underrepresentation of Blacks in the field of technology and entrepreneurship. On this podcast, Ed Christmas talks with guests about what is their why, and the road they are on to bring our society to a place of greater economic and digital equality while sharing the good news of those making a difference. Welcome to The Road to Why, presented through the partnership of Cisco and Sology Solutions, a proud member of the African American Cisco partner community.
Welcome to The Road to Why, where we highlight individuals and organizations that make a difference and have a positive impact on our underserved communities. I am your host, Ed Christmas, and I'm excited to have joined me today Dr. Michael Thompson, Chairman and President of Sikhona. Dr. Thompson, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
You know, I heard you were in town, and I was excited about you coming to town after watching a couple of your videos, and I said, I got to get him on the show for him to share with our audience what Sikhona is doing. Before, I know we have a video, and before we get into the video, I would like you to kind of give the vision of Sikhona and how long you've been doing it, and then we'll go to the video for the audience to see.
Okay, well, Sikhona, I've been doing Sikhona for approximately 5 years now, and that's all I do every single day. Haven't had any kind of vacation, no time off, so just working and building a company. Sikhona is a company that builds apps. And I can't even say just apps, but we do have an app that competes with Facebook. So we have our own version of Facebook, and that's called Sikhona Social. We have Do You, which is our version of TikTok. We also have Hey Yo, which is comparable to YouTube. Then we have Monzap, which is a fintech app. We have FileMule, which allows you to move files around that are too large for email. We also have Sikhona Education, which is used for educating people online. We have VScreen, which you can watch these serial type of videos and movies.
Wow. I should have said, what doesn't Sikhona do? No, I think you're doing great things in the tech world. It's dear to my heart. Why don't we go to the video just to share that, and we'll come back and hear more about what gave you the idea, why you did it, et cetera. So let's take it to the video.
We are here. We are Sikhona. We stand in a world shaped by innovation, yet burdened by inequity. For too long, African and African-descended people have been denied access, visibility, and a rightful place in the global technological landscape. But today, we declare a new truth. We are here, present, capable, brilliant, unapologetic in our identity, and unstoppable in our vision. Sikhona exists to rewrite the narrative. We design, build, and deploy technology that does more than connect devices. It connects people, communities, and futures. We create platforms that uplift, networks that empower, and systems that open doors to generational wealth. We innovate not for accolades, but for impact. Not for trends, but for transformation. Not for a select few, but for all who have been unseen, unheard, or underestimated. We refuse to allow brilliance to go unnoticed. We refuse to let potential be wasted. We refuse to stand silent when our people deserve more. At Sikhona, our work is rooted in cultural integrity, driven by purpose, and guided by a belief in justice, fairness, and dignity for all. We believe technology must level the playing field, not widen the gap. We build with our communities, drawing from our collective genius, our shared resilience, and our ancestral strength. We honor those who came before us, those who fought, sacrificed, and dreamed of a future where we would stand tall and stand together. And we hold space for those who will come after the innovators, creators, and leaders who will push our legacy even further. We are more than a tech company. We are a movement, a declaration, a promise to empower, a promise to uplift, a promise to rise no matter the obstacles. Because we are here, fully present, fully seen, fully capable. We are here. We are Sikhona.
All I could say is, wow, that's a powerful video. What gave you the idea?
Well, there was a few things. Now, when I think about technology, I think that it's one of those kinds of things that everybody should have access to. And when I say have access to, in multiple ways, when I look at all of the platforms that are here today, we notice that African Americans are very influential on all of these platforms out here. And, we get often discriminated against on other platforms. So the idea and thought came, we need to have a platform where we can speak truth, nothing about hate or anything like that, but to speak truth with regards to what's going on, what we've experienced. And then I noticed the same thing happened with the church. You can put a scripture on some of these platforms and it'll be censored. And I've had multiple friends come to me and say, you should build a social media platform. I've heard that so many times. And I was totally against it. I was not on social media prior to having my own platforms. And if you look at my Facebook, I had a Facebook account, but I probably have about 20 posts on there total over the last 12, 13 years. And I was forced to do it. And, but that's it. But, that's.
So build your own platform so that we could be real and keep it real.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit more about Sikhona. I've done a little research. There's meaning behind that. I think it's in the language from Africa, South Africa specifically. I think it's in conversation or greeting someone. It's I'm here, similar to I'm fine, I guess. Tell me a little bit about it and why you came up with Sikhona.
Okay, well, let me go back to what the company was originally called.
Okay.
It was called Our Black Truth.
Okay.
And when we tried to upload our apps to both Google Play and the App Store, there was a lot of rejection.
Really?
Yeah. And when they rejected us, the reasons were just crazy. They would give a reason and then I would tell them, well, no, you must have overlooked it. It's in paragraph 3 of this part of the app. So they would give rejections, but it was always there, everything that they gave us. So I noticed a pattern, and after about the 8th or 9th time of being rejected on both, I said, let me change the name. So I changed it to OBT Social, and which stood for Our Black Truth, but I didn't like it, didn't have a ring to it. I didn't care for it much. But when I did that, the apps went right through. They were posted on both Google and Apple, no problem. But I hated the name. So I sat back and thought about it. And I said, I need a name with a meaning.
Yeah, there you
Something
go.
that really describes who we are, what we're doing. And lo and behold, I came up with Sikhona. And Sikhona means we are here. And it's part of a greeting, as you mentioned. And it just shows your presence to the world.
Exactly.
That you can see me, because I can see you and vice versa.
Absolutely. And I love this statement in the video. I took it as leaving no one behind, the ones that are unheard. And unfortunately, it's in our community, right? Individuals. And that's why I'm excited to have you on the show. I want the young person, young woman, or young man to see how Dr. Thompson came to be who he is today. He didn't take the path that everyone takes. And I think that's where we as a community may get discouraged. I read somewhere where you said early on, you knew the system wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't a level playing field. And I'm just taking that from what I read. But why don't you share with our audience a little bit about your upbringing? I know you're on the East Coast, Baltimore, Washington area. Share that experience and how your journey took off from there.
Okay. Well, I was born in Baltimore City. And as you see, Baltimore today is not the best area when it comes to economic empowerment and education. So when I was young, my parents said, we're going to move. We want you to go to a better school. So we ended up in Fairfax County, Virginia. Okay. And Fairfax County, Virginia, back in the 70s and 80s, was one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest.
Still is.
Yeah. So, so being in an area where there was a lot of wealth, they put a lot of money into the school systems. Mm-hmm. But we were able to move there because my dad worked maintenance at an apartment community. So we were able to get like a reduced cost on the apartments that we lived in so we could live in a rich area. And so going to school, I was there where we had all the great textbooks, ROTC, even had an airplane in our classroom. So that is unheard of when you're in the inner city.
Right.
And just being in that environment, one of the things that stood out to me was that I always wondered, how did my friends have parents who was able to afford all these great things for them, clothes, cars, big homes. And as I examined it, I said, I see, most of them own businesses. That was the common denominator. And I said, I'm going to do the same thing. So I thought about it and said, what can I do as a business right now? So I figured, okay, I rap, I break dance, I'm going to throw parties. So I took it upon myself before the internet, and I hosted parties. And at my parties, I would have 500, 600, 700 people pre-internet at my parties. And we would have a DJ, we would rap, we would have breakdance competitions. I would hire police officers to come and do the security. We would sell food there. I would have my uncle come in and do all the catering for us, and we made money like that.
Wow.
And that was my first win as an entrepreneur. And from that point, I just kept pushing it.
How was the word getting out?
Actually, I had hand-drawn flyers that I would draw up with my hands, then go and print them, and then hang them all over the place. And then I would go and tell everybody, here, pass them out, pass them out, pass them out. And then I would go and talk to the knuckleheads of the, community that always want to argue, fuss, and fight with people, and tell them, do not fight at my party. And I'll tell them, come and support it.
Right.
And everybody respected me. And so they would come to the parties, never a fight, no issues, no nothing, but they would put the word out there, and they would also help keep people straight. So we had successful parties, and the police department commended us for doing that back then. And I was 15 years old, and the adults around said that was great. And that just fueled
You're doing
my
something
passion.
good. Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me about role models. We know the roles our parents play. And I know your parents had influence and wanted you to take one road, but you decided to take another. But what role models did you have?
Well, when it comes to role models, I have to say I really didn't have what I consider like one particular role model. When I was young, I encountered different people that were grown adults like my parents' age and sometimes older, and they would be business owners. They would talk to me, and I would talk to them. And one thing led to another was I was just able to pick their brain, learn about business and how to file for your license and everything else. And I would have to say there's like 4 or 5 people like that, but no one particular, but I've learned from all of them.
Yeah. The old saying is you can't be what you can't see. So obviously you were exposed to some things, and that has a negative side to it also. You were probably placed in this community that didn't welcome you or didn't make you feel comfortable. Share a little bit about that, because I've been in your shoes in that situation.
Yeah. Well, let me go back to when I was in the 4th grade.
Okay.
Now, when I was in the 4th grade, I'm walking, and then 2 guys in a pickup truck, 2 white guys in a pickup truck, threw some kind of green fruit at me, and it hit me right here in the stomach. And imagine that happening to a 4th grader.
Right.
And that right there, it scared me, made me angry, but I never forgot it. And I had never shared it with anyone until decades later that had happened. And but that is something that has fueled me to just be the person that I am.
Absolutely. So it created you. They didn't know what they were doing at the time, and they created what I call a monster to them now.
Yeah.
But with all of that said, you decided to take a path that was probably uncommon back then because parents were incentivizing and telling their kids they need to go off to college. And I know financial situations weren't the same for everyone, but what made you say, that's not for me right now?
Well, the thing that really did it was that when I was considering going to school and I'm sitting there in the class at the very beginning, I realized that the professor knew less than me because he was explaining how to build a network.
Gotcha.
And I said, well, if you actually added this device, you would be able to do more with it and save bandwidth and all that kind of stuff. So he tried to be a smart mouth and said, well, why don't you come here and show us how to do it? I said, well,
wrong answer.
Wrong answer. I said, well, let me go out to my car and let me grab a couple of things real quick. He said, you have 5 minutes. I went out to the car, came back, laptop, router, and set up a network right then and there. And he was impressed. The class was impressed. And from that point, I was like, I don't need this. And I was working at that time, making good money.
Right.
So I was just doing it because, people always say college degree and all of that kind of stuff.
So how did you get exposed to it? Because that's one of the things we're trying to champion here in our city, to get more kids exposed to technology, because you're absolutely right. There's network engineers, network architectures, cloud architects that college has nothing to do with it. It's learning that skill. How did you get exposed to it?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I got exposed to it kind of by accident, really.
Okay.
And I've always had an interest in taking things apart, putting them back together. So that part of it is like natural for me to figure out how things work. But when I was, I think, 13 years old, I purchased my own computer because my parents, they couldn't afford it at the time. And they had no idea what a computer really was or did per se. So I taught myself BASIC with a Commodore 64 and an Atari. And then from there, once I was able to do those basic things, I actually needed a job when I was in high school in the 10th grade. So I applied for a job at AT&T. And when I was at AT&T, I was customer service because there was a split between the local phone company and a long distance company back then. But the problem came when the systems kept going down and we couldn't place calls. So I had a friend that worked there. His job was to work on the mainframes and keep the phones and everything working. So he would be holding his head, he would come back out, and I would say, hey, how come we can't make calls? He'll say the mainframe is down. And I'll say, well, did you try this, this, and this? He'll look at me like, no, I didn't. Let me try that. He'd go on the back. Next thing I know, the phones are up. So then that happened multiple times. And then they moved from customer service over to mainframes. And then that was the start of my career. And you basically need someone that's there to give you that chance to kind of guide you in that direction. And so that's what I, as chairman and president of Sikhona, I make sure that I do. I reach out to young people because they need exposure. Without the exposure, they will never have the opportunity. And I ask all people that are doing well, reach out to the young people, take them under your wing and give them your connections and move out of the way.
I'll add one to that. Not only the exposure, what individuals have to do when they reach back is tell them they believe in them. They know they could do it. Encourage them.
Exactly.
Right?
They
because
need encouragement.
We tend to shy away. So I get the background at AT&T. Then you went into the corporate world. Understand VP at Verizon, or back then it was Bell Atlantic, I believe, at a very young age. Share with the audience what that experience was like.
Yeah, that was an experience that I would never forget. And at that time, I had a company called Stream Now. And Stream Now was formed in '98. And this is before video streaming became popular. And I put together a system around '99 because I had a conversation with a friend of mine that I worked with. And he was always complaining. So we were out on a break. We worked together at Quest LCI. And within that 1 hour break, I came up with an idea to build a system. At that point, I said, I'm going to build this and I'm going to leave here. I'm going to quit. And about 30 to 45 days later, I had a system functional and I quit. Put my notice in. Then I pretty much reached out to various companies to see if they will be interested in having a system to deliver voice, video, and data in 99. And about maybe a day and a half, 2 days later, One Point Communications reached out to me and said, "Do you really have this?" I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." And I said, "You can come and see it if you want." And they said, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "How soon can you accommodate us?" I said, "As soon as you can get here." I met with them 2 days later.
Wow.
And when I met with them, they were excited. They saw the system work. They kicked the tires and everything else. They ran out the room, huddled together, came back in. They said, "We want to do a deal." So over the next couple of weeks, we did a deal. And see, they needed that deal because Bell Atlantic would not acquire One Point Communications initially because they did not have a differentiator to make them different than the others.
Got it.
So they needed something to push them over the edge. And that was it.
Did you know that at the time?
I did not. I would have charged them more.
Absolutely. So just for the audience, I want to put this in perspective. We're talking about Bell Atlantic. You had New York Tel. You had Southwest Bell. You had all these companies. GTE. You could go on and on with engineers, rooms of engineers trying to figure this out. And you're telling me this young adult at the time built it on his own. I would imagine with limited resources because all those companies I just named had tons of resources, tons of financial backing. So how do you explain how you did it? I would imagine on a shoestring budget. How were you able to pull that off? And you have these smart, college educated doctors, everything else with unlimited funds, not being able to do it.
Yeah, well, it was a situation where it was not even a shoestring budget. It was like just real small. I was able to afford computers and all that kind of stuff, small routers. But the key was that I had everything right here in my mind, but I did not have all the hardware. So what I did was I reached out to companies like Paragain, Westel, Cisco, and all the rest, and explained to them what I could do. And surprisingly, I had companies send me tens of thousands of dollars in equipment.
Really?
Yeah, because they believed after they had a chance to read what I had, I spoke to them on the phone. We met face to face. They gave me a lot of equipment and stuff to use and experiment with. So, and that's one of the things that really helped tremendously.
Absolutely.
Was to have that. So that kind of took the place of having someone give me money. And from there, the rest is history. Okay,
so fast forward. You get brought on by this company that eventually got acquired by Bell Atlantic. Now you're in a position that you get into a VP role. I would imagine as you started going around and introducing this technology, people looked at you like, who is this person? Share that experience because you have to have thick skin to get through that period. So share with the audience about that.
Yeah. No one ever believed that I was a vice president at Verizon.
Right.
They found that so difficult to believe because I was young then. And, to be at that level in such a company was just crazy. But for example, when I went to a Bell Atlantic facility that was 10 minutes away from my office.
Wouldn't let you in.
They did not want to let me in. And they were doing video, but they didn't want to let me in. And when they looked out, they saw myself being African-American, and they saw a Jamaican guy, and they saw a guy from Tonga, they saw a guy from Thailand, they saw an Indian guy, because these are all people that work for me, and we wanted to see what they were doing.
Right.
And we just received not serious pushback, there was some pushback, but if you could read a person's thoughts, it would have been crazy.
It's clear.
Yeah.
So share with me because in today's environment, it's pretty scary for our youth, let's say. As you know, our history is being removed. And I notice on your site, you have a history component. And by the way, I love the piece on the light bulb
Thank you.
that our kids don't get to know about. And I strongly believe if you remove someone's history, they lose their identity, they lose their perspective. So share with me your thoughts around that.
Yeah, actually, when we talk about losing history and everything else, I blame my generation and the generation before me, because we need to secure our own. That's what we need to do. And everybody's too busy being separate. So when I say I blame us, I blame myself as well. So that's why I decided to step up and do something about it. Because if you don't know your history, then you have nothing at all, nothing to go with. And our young people, they need to understand the greatness that they come from, because the history that they're given is all about slavery. Who wants to be a slave? Who wants to associate with a slave? Right. You know what I mean? Because you automatically think they don't know anything. They're always being beat down. So it does something to you psychologically. Absolutely. So they need to see some victories.
Absolutely. And, totally agree.
Yeah.
So you're not only Dr. Thompson, but you also wrote a book. And I encourage everyone to get this. I believe you're offering a way to go to the website and get a copy of the book.
Yeah, actually, SikhonaBook.com is where you can download a free copy.
There you go.
SikhonaBook.com. And then also, if anybody is interested in knowing more about the company, because how we help young people, go to Sikhona.com, and that's Sikhona. And when we talk about young people, see, we have a component where we train young people. And we've hosted events in Nigeria. We've had at one event, like 30,000 people there.
Wow.
At a smaller one, there was about 6,000 people. And then our next to the second one was about maybe 15 to 1,600 people. And our first one was 300.
Wow.
So it was always, progressing and a large audience, but it was all young people. And you can see that on the site as well.
Okay. And also you could invest in Sikhona.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So, in closing, there's a young individual, male or female out there that is struggling in school, can't see a future. Just share with the audience what advice you would give this individual that's out there.
Yeah. The advice I would give is for them to understand that I understand that social media is fun. Technology is fun. And we need to stop being consumers and start being producers, because that's where the money is. Because if we sit there and continuously dance and throw a ball and all of that, you'll get a bunch of views, but you don't get any money.
There you go.
Get very little money. The money is in the ownership. The security is in the ownership. And that's what we have to drive with them. And it's so bad right now that no one can offer up any excuses. It just has to be done.
Absolutely.
So I would tell them to really come up with some kind of ideas, embrace technology, because right now everything is changing and there's a reset going on.
And if you don't change, you're going to become irrelevant. Dr. Thompson, thank you for everything you're doing. You got a great vision. I applaud what you're doing. Much success. Just in closing, anything you want to tell the audience?
Yeah, I would like to tell everyone to support Sikhona. And see, we are also into media. So we're producing our own content, which you saw, the historical content. We actually have 2 theme songs. So when I go out places, we have one that we use at the very beginning and then one to take us out. So the first one's called We Are Here, which prepares people and let them know Sikhona is here. We as a people, we're here. But then at the end, it's called Unstoppable. And they will feel that after they've sat through and learned everything about Sikhona. And they will all actually feel that, yeah, we are unstoppable because we're taking our future in our hands. And
there you go.
We're looking out for our people and our children and everybody in general. So
I love it. Dr. Thompson, thank you for your time today. Audience, I hope you enjoyed this discussion. We'll have more like this, but please visit Sikhona.com and learn more. And until next time, be blessed.